Marriage. A Muslim marriage is a civil contract. A Muslim marriage is a civil contract. Full stop. In the light of the statement, discuss the nature of the Muslim marriage. Introduction. Marriage, that mean nikah, mean different form of the sex relationship between man and a woman, established on certain terms. Established on certain terms. Full stop. In ancient age, women were treated as cattle, and were not given any right of inheritance, and were absolutely dependent. Full stop. It was Prophet Muhammad who brought about a complete change in the position of the woman. Full stop. The improvement was vast and striking, and their position is now unique as regarded their legal status. Full stop. After marriage, woman does not lose does not lose her individuality, and she remain a distracting member of the community. Full stop. Under the Muslim law, marriage is considered as a civil contract. Okay? Marriage is considered as a civil contract. Okay? Marriage is considered as a civil contract. Marriage is considered as a civil contract. Marriage is considered as a civil contract. Full stop. The contract of marriage given no power to anyone over her person or property beyond what the law define. Full stop. Women remain the absolute owner. Woman remaining the absolute owner of the individual right even after marriage. Full stop. Definition of marriage. Nikah. Definition of marriage हो गया. Definition of marriage या निकाह. NIKAH निकाह. निकाह marriage या निकाह. NIKAH निकाह literally mean the union of sex, and in law this term mean marriage. Full stop. Marriage has been defined to be a contract for the purpose of the legalizing sexual intercourse, and procreation of the children. Full stop. In Hadia, 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 it is defined as nikah in its primitive sense, mean carnal conjunction. Carnal conjunction. Some have that if signifying conjunction. Generally and finally in the language of the law. It imply a particular contract used for purpose of the legalizing generation. Full stop. The Prophet of the Islam is reported to have said. The Prophet of the Islam is reported to have said. हो गया. That marriage is my sunnah. And who do not follow this way of life are not my follower. Full stop. Thus the marriage according to the Muslim law. Thus, the marriage, according to the Muslim law, is a contract for the purpose of the legalizing sexual intercourse, legalizing sexual intercourse, and the procreation of legitimating of children, and the regulation of social life, in the interest of the society, regulation of the social life in the interest of the society, full stop. Nature of Muslim marriage. There are divergences of opinion with regard to the nature of the Muslim marriage, full stop. Some jurists are of the union. Some jurists are of the opinion that Muslim marriage is purely a civil contract. While the other say that it is a religious sacrament. It is a religious sacrament in nature. Some jurists are of the opinion. That Muslim marriage is purely a civil contract, while others say that it is a religious sacrament in nature. Full stop. In order to better appreciate the nature of the Muslim marriage, it would be proper to consider it in its different notation. Full stop. Muslim marriage by some writer. Muslim marriage by some writer. Muslim marriage by some writer and jurist is treated as a mere civil contract and not a sacrament. Full stop. These observations seem to be based on the fact that the marriage under Muslim law has similar characteristics as a contract. For example, a marriage required proposal. Hajab. IJ a bhajab from one party add acceptance. Qubal from the other, so it is the contract, full stop. Moreover, there can be no marriage without free consent, and such consent should not be obtained by meaning of the coercion, fraud, or undue influence. Full stop. Similar has in the case of contract. Entered into by a guardian or attaining majority, so can a marriage contract in Muslim law, but set aside by a minor or attaining the age of the puberty. Third, the party of the Muslim marriage may enter into any anteputal or postnuptial the party of the Muslim marriage may enter into any antenatal or postnatal agreement which is enforceable by law, provided that it is reasonable and not opposed to the policy of the Islam. Full stop. Some is in the case of a contract. Some is in the case of the 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 contract. Full stop. Some is in the case of the contract. Some is the case of the contract. 4. The term of a marriage contract. The term of a marriage contract may also be lettered within legal limit to suit individual case. Full stop. although although discourages both by the Quran and Hadith. Hadith. Quran and Hadith get like any other contract. There is also provision for the breach of marriage contract. Breach of marriage contract. Breach of marriage contract. 6. In the leading case of the Qadr Abdul Qadir versi Salima 1886 case 8086 1886 case. It emphasized the contractual aspect and analogy of Muslim marriage contract of sale. Contract with contract of sale हो गया. Conclusion. Thus, marriage according to the Muslim law is a contract for the purpose of the legalizing sexual intercourse and the procreation of the proclamation of legitimacy of children, legitimacy legitimacy of children, and the regulation of the social life in the interest of the society. Full stop. However, it is further view that marriage is not purely a civil contract. But a religious sacrament to full stop. Thought. Sacramental nature of marriage is considered as in a orthodox view, but it is also supported by the judiciary in the leading case of the Enas Begum versus Mohammad Astafia. Enas Begum versus Mohammad Astafia 1933 in the case Sulaiman. In the case, Suleiman has retired to put a more balanced view of the Muslim marriage by holding it both civil contract and a religious sacrament. Both civil contract and religious sacrament हो गया. Religious sacrament हो गया. Religious sacrament हो गया. Religious sacrament. Nature of the Muslim marriage हो गया. Nature of the Muslim marriage. A Muslim marriage is a civil contract. In the light of the statement discuss the nature of the Muslim marriage. Muslim marriage that means nikah. Nikah. Nikah means different form of the sexual relationship between man and a woman established on a certain terms. Dower. Define dower. What are its kind? As it is evident from Quran. If you separate yourself from your wife, send him away with journality. It is not permitted to you to appropriate the good you have once given him. You had given him. Thus the custom originate in the ancient time. With the payment which husband often made to their wife as a mean of the sport in their older age or even turns